Charlie Johnson, cream of rice, ground rice, you will know what I'm talking about. So that would be the first thing I look at. I would then look at easy to digest carbohydrates in the forms of carbohydrates intra-workout, in terms of things like dextrose and cyclic dextrin work very well. So we want to feed the body as much carbohydrates as possible when we're working out to get the maximum amount of output from our training. So our ability to take in large amounts of carbohydrates around training is going to be the best time to really push that food in. So that's the first thing I would suggest. Other carb things you want to be aware of in terms of when you're training taking large amount of carbohydrates is keeping fats down, because fats slow digestion. So if you're eating a lot, having a lot of fat is not going to help you with this. So that's something we really want to try and keep reduced and keep down to a minimum, because it's not going to be helpful if you're trying to eat 700 grams of carbohydrates a day. So next point, what other questions we have? How to stop bloating, what causes bloating? So, I think the camera's about to run out. So what causes bloating? So three big culprits for this. One, eating too much food in one sitting. So that's something you really want to be aware of. The little and often does actually have some truth in it, that your stomach doesn't want to be eating one enormous meal a day, and then you're like that snake that ate a hippopotamus. Was it? Yeah, alligator that ate like a fucking hippo. Like, you don't want to be like that. That's not cool. So that's not a good thing. So we want to try and spread our meals out throughout the day, spread our food out throughout the day, and that will help you a lot in terms of digestion. Number two is you want to try and limit things that cause digestive issues. This is obviously very person dependent. Two big culprits for pretty much everyone would be lactose in the form of dairy, and then gluten. So in regards of easy options to get rid of dairy, I look at using things like almond milk, oat milk instead of normal milk. Works very well. Number two, I would suggest that you, in terms of gluten, I would suggest that you look to use gluten-free oats and gluten-free bread, things like that. They tend to help an awful lot. Gluten-free oats are amazing. One thing I say, gluten-free bread tends to be a lot of additives and crap in it, so I'm not a huge advocate of it, if I'm honest. So that's something I'll be very much aware of. Next question, what to do when you're sick in terms of trying to get back into exercising. So firstly, point number one, make sure you eat correctly. Make sure you keep hydrated. These can be very important in terms of you making a strong and steady recovery. And then the first session you have when you go back into training or exercising, I would probably just reduce the loads of everything you do and do higher reps, 15 to 20 reps work, and then try and just focus on enjoying the session, getting moving again, getting blood going. Don't get injured, enjoy it. Don't go back in too soon. If you don't feel great, then don't do it. Like, it's just not worth it. So that would be my advice. Slow and steady, and you'll bounce back very, very quickly. This is a good question. So how to plan meals as a beginner. So in regards to how to plan meals as a beginner, the basic way to look at this, I look at 3 meals a day, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then I'd probably stick in 2 snacks in the middle. So I don't know what the fuck I'm doing there, but 2 snacks in the middle. So I'd have mid-morning, you could have a shake, and then in the afternoon you could have another shake or a protein bar or handful of nuts, some fruit, something like that would be very simple to do. If you're not sure how to structure a diet like this, and very basically, drop me a DM on Instagram and I can help you how we can really map that out together. But it's very, very simple in terms of how you can map out your nutrition in terms of beginner. One thing that does come up, an awful lot of people ask about intermittent fasting. That is not something I'm a huge advocate of, because it tends to lead to people overeating when they do eat. And we have to remember that our body, like we were saying earlier, doesn't want to be starved all day and then have one massive meal and then we're bloated as hell. And we are what we eat, we are what we digest and assimilate, and we're not giving our body the opportunity to try and assimilate the food correctly as we should. Therefore, we're not going to get the most from the food we're uptaking and taking in. So what you're effectively doing as well, you're probably going to be causing more metabolic issues in terms of not giving your body the fuel it needs. Your body's probably start to slow your metabolism down, which means you can find it even harder to lose weight, and it becomes a vicious cycle, which is not something you want. So that's how I would plan meals as a beginner. You can have as many or as little as you want, but the thing I'd say in terms of meals is to try and keep your food around working out, because that's very important. If you train very early in the morning, however, if you train before 7 a.m, I would suggest maybe not eat beforehand, and then you just have like an intra-workout drink, so like a drink you drink whilst you're working out. And then you have carbohydrates, amino acids and creatine in that, and that will fuel through your session, and technically you won't be fasted, and you also won't be bloated. It will prevent muscle tissue breakdown and aid performance, which is what we want. Next question, shoulder pain. So, shoulder pain. This is a very, very common issue a lot of people have, and shoulder pain is very much down to poor form, and a lack of stability and strength within your shoulder and your rotator cuff, your lower traps. I spent about half an hour filming some new videos in terms of some new shoulder exercise I am personally doing to fix internal rotation and depression of my glenohumeral joint, my left side of my shoulder. That will be coming onto YouTube next week, which will be helpful for you. So anyone who has shoulder issues, check that out. I've also got some other more in-depth YouTube videos in regards to shoulder mobility and strength will help. But in regards to how to fix shoulder pain, it's very, very depends on what the exact shoulder pain is. But a lot of it tends to come from poor form it's triggered from. So a lot of the time, I don't necessarily want people to think about, I've got shoulder pain, I need to treat this. It's trying to treat what's actually caused the pain and the issues, what you want to be thinking about, rather than just causing just treating the injury. Try and fix what's actually causing the injury is the most important thing. That's really what you want to be looking at doing. Next question is a question I get an awful lot. It's in regards to creatine. How much creatine do you need? When should I use it? Is it safe? So if anyone hasn't head over to my podcast, I'll go into this in incredible depth. In regards to creatine, I would suggest use 5 grams of creatine intra-workout. You can also take it on rest days if you're not working out. Creatine is shown to be very good in terms of cognitive function, so that will help you greatly. So I would suggest you do that very, very much so. It's safe for women. It's the most proven supplement out there that works. And yes, I'd highly suggest checking it out. A few more questions that look like they're coming in, so I'm just going to have a look. Let's have a look. Best 3 exercises for chest. So, this is a good question. I would go my best 3 exercises for chest. I am a big advocate of, I like an incline bench press, which is interesting. I just enjoy the exercise. I find it a good chest pump. Also like a weighted dip. I find you get a good chest activation from that. I actually like a decline dumbbell press. Is a very good exercise. So those are 3 that people probably wouldn't expect, but I'm a big fan of. Let's see if there's any more questions I can grab on here. Best fitness books I've ever read. So the one I'd highly recommend to everyone is Be Your Own Bodybuilding Coach by Dr. Scott Stevenson. That's a phenomenal book. Very, very in-depth and covers everything. And the other one I suggest is Maximal Hypertrophy from Brad Schoenfield, which is very scientific and geeky, but we will see if there's anything else that's any good. Let's have a look. That's a very long question. I can't read it, it's so small. What's the best way to... Okay, so what's the best way to be in a surplus when you're in a very busy active job? Usually burn 3,000 calories a day without exercise and 3,500 calories with exercise. So, you ultimately just need to eat more. So, today I will eat 4,200 calories. Therefore, that's probably what you need to be eating, George. So, you probably might need to be in the 700 grams of carbohydrates squad if you're very active with your job. So, reality is you just need to eat more, which means you then actually need to protect your digestion more, because when you have to eat a huge amount of food, then what happens is you can't eat junk food, because as soon as you eat the pizza, the next day your stomach's destroyed and you can't turn over the food quick enough. So what I would suggest for anyone in this situation is you have to have a very structured approach in terms of the food choices you can make and a list of foods you can eat, a list of foods you can't eat, and that will help you greatly in terms of being able to eat more. Another great thing to do is have really high carbohydrates in terms of intra-workout shakes. You can make smoothies with like fruit, peanut butter, almond butter, all those things. If you need to get the calories in, that's a relatively easy way to do so. Let's have a look at any other good ones. Here we go. This is a good one. Good question. Refeed meal or cheat meal while gaining lean muscle, trying to stay away from too much fat gain. If you're looking to not gain body fat, then what we want to be doing is not having cheat meals. We want to be sticking to a clean diet and a calorie surplus that has specific macros for our goals. So if you're not exactly sure how many calories you need, you don't know what to eat, when to eat, and how much, and you don't have a clear plan to take you from where you are now to where you want to go in terms of building muscle, burning body fat, then ultimately you're going to be pissing into the wind with this, to be honest with you, and you're probably not seeing many results. So if you're in that situation at the moment, what I'd love you to do is drop me a direct message, just say who you are, where you're from, what your goal is, and I'll come back to you with exactly how I can help. This has been CJ Fitness Friday tips. I'm trying to do this every Friday, a quick 15-minute Q&A, do a few more of these. So if anyone has any questions, drop me a direct message. We'd love to help. Hope everyone has a lovely Friday evening or weekend. Keep crushing it. Summer's nearly here, and it's